There's people lot too much for me to pay. I climb way up to the top of the stairs, and all my feeling tired and weak, I go up where the air is fresh and sweet. It's the only place I know where you just have to wait. I wanna live, I wanna give. I've been a miner for a heart of gold. It's these expressions I've never cared. Keeps me searching for a heart of gold. And I'm Thank you, everybody. I'd like to invite Verity up now to sing a couple.
Stop to see Whippoorwill crying on his pillow. Maybe he's crying for me. As the night turns gloomy and birds whisper to me, I'm lonesome as I can be. Go out walking after midnight, out in the moonlight, just like you used to do. I'm always walking after midnight, searching for you. Alright, yeah. Stop to see a whippoorwill crying on his pillow. Maybe he's crying for me. As the night turns gloomy, now birds whisper to me, I'm lonesome as I can be.
We need to get
Go walking
the dogs.
after midnight, out in the moonlight, just like we used to do. I'm always walking after midnight, searching for you. I'm always walking after midnight, searching for you. Oh.
Mike's got a long and dear friend in Melbourne, and his name is Richard. So Richard hasn't forgotten about you this evening. I'd like to read out what Michael and Richard had a long, Richard McCulloch had a long history in music, which developed into a lifelong friendship, which they still maintain today. And this is what Richard has to say to Michael. Dear Michael, Verity and gathered friends, this evening, just as all of you are in your own way, I too would like to tell, via this inadequate note, how much Michael has meant to me. To say I'm not there with you and how sorry I am not to be is an incredible understatement. I am unashamed regarding my love for this man. I say man because Michael is a real man, the truest friend of all to this little black duck. Milestone is a popular way of expressing things these days, and I'm sick of it. Attaining to the age Michael has reached is wonderful for himself, but even more wonderful for all of us who love the dear fellow. You'd have to know Richard to understand his speak. I can hear him saying the words. Michael does not want us to tell you of what he has done and is doing, because that's not his cup of tea. In my case, though, I will just let you know what he has not told you. He has lifted me out of my doldrums and put me on a pedestal. He has resurrected my vocal career in spades and is ever continuing to promote me and just hides away in the background and quietly thinks about what he can do next for me. If this sounds a little melodramatic, so be it. Most of us have a friend, real ones are few. I read once that a friend is another person just like you. Michael, you full well know how much I love you. Tonight you will be empowered, pal. You'll be smothered with what you deserve to be smothered in. So let us all, these lovely folk, get around you and bless you. Thank you, Michael. 70 years of giving and loving. Dear, I'm reading this word for word, so dear Michael, I know how much your lover, Verity, that's a funny one, loves you too and cares thoughtfully for you. Your dear mum and myself are not actually in the room with you. You deserve this and more. Sit back and enjoy the unfolding magic of this evening. Brown as blue, tell me your secrets, tell me some lies, give me no reasons, give me alibis, tell me you love me, don't make me cry, say anything, but don't say goodbye to me. Me here at last in the ground, you will send in the clouds. Isn't it bliss? Don't you approve? One who keeps running around, one who can't move. So where are the clouds? Send in the clouds. Just when I stopped opening doors, finally knowing the one that I wanted was yours, making my entrance with my usual flair, sure of my lines, but no one was there. And don't you love us? My fault, I feel. I thought that you'd want to. Sorry, my idiot. So where are the clouds? There ought to be clouds. Quick, send in the clouds. You took my kisses and all my loving. You told me how to care. Am I just a remnant of one that I gave gladly? There's nothing left for me to say.
Share a really quick story that demonstrates to me, and it will to you, about the person that we've got here. So I met Michael over 30 years ago. and obviously met him because he and Vez were singing together. And having just come out of 10 years of interstate transport, I was a bit rough and tough and a bit of mouth on me, and luckily I've mellowed. Yeah, and I honestly went out of my way to shock Michael. I did, and I mean it, and I'm embarrassed to say it, especially with Sister Colleen and Father Namora here, but I knew that Mike had a very deep faith, and I would just come up with the most outrageous religious jokes that I possibly could. And Mike just smiled, nicely. And that life went on, and everyone went their separate ways, and I didn't have contact with Michael for a lot of years. And I regretted what I had done. Anyway, fast forward, he and Vez got back together, and I had the opportunity to apologise to him. And he said, "Phil, that didn't worry me. I knew that wasn't you." That's the sort of person that we're dealing with. So I'm just blessed now to think of Michael as a brother, which is great, because that means now I've got 2 brothers that sing and 2 sisters that's... Oh, hold on. No, hold on, I need to recant. I've got one sister that is an incredible singer, and another sister, and another sister who is an incredible wordsmith, and Deb is. And I just wanted to share something with you that barely anyone in the room would know, and it's very topical, just with the passing of Susan Ryan. And Deb back in the day was a speechwriter for the lady that went on to pave the way for women in politics in Australia. So yeah, awesome job, Deb. So what Deb lacked in singing ability, she made up for in enthusiasm. But she is an incredible wordsmith, and I'm proud to have her as my sister. And she can really sing. Yeah, no, she's good. She may even one night do Fernando. Who knows? But anyway. I just want to point out that that's the measure of the man that we've got in Michael. Forgiveness personified. And I'm blessed to count him as a very, very dear friend. And on behalf of both Di and myself, we love you very much, mate. And so, happy birthday.
Anyway, when Mike was doing his shows, the Matt Munro show and all this sort of thing, he decided that he needed a bit of feedback. So who did he ask? Our son Max, who was a bit of an aficionado. You know him, don't you? So he asked Max to go over to the house, Mike's house, and Mike went through his show and said to Max, "What do you think of the show?" And Max said, "Oh, it's very good. It's very good." He said, Max said, "There's one thing." He said, Mike said, "What's that?" He said, "Who's Matt Munro?" Just to say though, the best part after getting married, of course, the second time for the last decade, are his 4 grandchildren. Aaliyah 4, Jamie 4, Eva 2 and Felix 1. So I can't think of any song to describe the 2010s, so it's over.
That was actually going to be segueing into an introduction for Mike. So I'd like to take over where Jeff left off. And please, can we have a very warm round of applause for the birthday boy himself, Mr. Michael Whittaker.
Finally, mate, it just reminds me of our wedding night. We had a reception. So we had it at the Ottoman restaurant, and at 11:15, the owner of the restaurant came up and said, "Well, we're closing at 11, right?" And I said, "But Verity and I haven't sung yet," because there were so many other acts, and we were dragging on and on and on and on, just very similar to what happened tonight. Very similar.
Are you saying I was dragging on?
No, not you. I wouldn't have said you.
No, Jeff.
Yes, Jeff. No.
And I said, "Give us an extra half an hour." So he gave us an extra half hour. So we got booted out at 11:30. But our show got cut short. Verity's and I think we sang one song. But, you know, that's what happens. weddings are not for the people getting married, they're for everybody else. And yes, we're very skilled at entertaining people in nursing homes, so I feel very much at home here tonight.
You just lost your audience.
I just lost my audience.
I think you just recognise your audience.
All right, now you're going to hear all that again, and even slower, and it's going to take much more time, but it'll be a bit more colourful. So, what do? The first, here we go, the first decade. It's all about the first decade. I think if anyone wants to go to the toilet, they better go now.
And then again through the 70s?
Well, you asked for it, you accepted the invitation. Don't blame me. There. So, great-grandfather George Whittaker came from Kilkenny in Ireland to settle at property west of Toowoomba, and the property was called Plainview. Now, the poor bugger died at 56 years of age in 1897. 1897, that's 17 years after this building was built. And Catherine, his wife, had died the previous year. Isn't that interesting? So just, well, like men do, they just give up the ghost once their wives died, don't they? Well, real men do, I suppose. Now my grandfather was, she doesn't like my jokes. She hates them. But a lot of people like my jokes.
No jokes.
Now, my grandfather was also a George Whittaker. Now, he was an SP bookmaker and a cordial manufacturer. And he also died young at 54 in 1930, leaving my poor old father, Tom, without a family breadwinner at 11 years of age. So, now, when I got to 54, I was really nervous because I thought, you know, great-grandfather, grandfather, Tom, well, he was an exception in many ways. But I thought 54 was it. It was coming up and that was the end of me. And here I am at 70. Isn't that amazing? Now, my father worked with horses and was a jockey in the late 30s before joining the 9th Division in World War II. And he narrowly escaped death on many occasions and came back with undiagnosed PTS, which they all did, of course, but went to work on the railways for 30 years. He loved horses, as did my mother. How old is she there, you think?
13.
Yes, about 12, I'd say. And who grew up with 6 brothers and 1 sister. My parents first met when Mum was 12. Dad was exercising a horse and saw Mum kicking her school bag under a barbed wire fence. I'm not quite sure what she was saying while she was kicking the school bag under the barbed wire fence, but I could imagine. So, they were married in 1949. There you go, out front of St. Patrick's in Toowoomba. Now, the most important gifts I received from my parents were my education, which was really music and physics, and also my Catholic faith. On my first day at primary school, a parish priest asked the class if anyone knew how to pray. I found I was the only one with my hand up in the air. My mother had taught me. I made the sign of the cross and said the Our Father from memory. Not bad for a 6-year-old. I still retain the memory of doing that. I still can see the room in which I said it. My mother kept my first communion medallion, and I've still got that. Well, I hope I have, somewhere here. For me, science and faith has never been in conflict. Jesus is the master of creation, and he told us repeatedly not to be afraid. That is very helpful advice when the media is certain we are all going to die through climate change, overpopulation, and now the virus. Now, I'm not sure how this next song, which is the one of my favourites, I'm going to sing 7 songs, so this show really goes on and on and on. But there's one song for each decade, and it serves you right. It's not my fault that I'm 70. So this is Matt Monro's version of The Impossible Dream, and let's face it, a lot of the people who came out here, our forebears, they had life really tough, and they couldn't have imagined what we now take for granted as we live here.
The impossible dream, to fight the unbeatable foe, to bear with your arms, to ride where the brave dare not go, to ride the unrightable wrong, to love your chased from afar, to try when your arms are too weary, to reach the unreachable star. This is my quest, to follow that star, no matter how hopeless, no matter how far, to find the right without question or pause, to be willing to march into hell for a heavenly cause. And I know if I'll only be true to this glorious quest, that my heart will lie peaceful and calm when I'm laid to my rest, and the world will be better for this. That one man, scorned and covered with scars, still strove with his last ounce of courage to reach the unreachable star.